Hey, everybody, and welcome
Hello.
to our weekly show, which didn't happen last week, mainly because I think I was ill and your kids were ill as well.
Yep, everybody was ill.
Everyone was ill, so no show last week. Anyway, now we're here. My name is Johannes Verwijnen. I'm the principal instructor of Deep Dives with a background in developing and data analytics and machine learning. And with me, I have my friend Mikko, who is also an instructor with a similar background. And did you build a corporate sauna back in Finland,
Yeah,
or where are you?
yeah. In Helsinki, Finland, it's about 0 degrees Celsius, 34, 33 Fahrenheit. So I need to be in a sauna. It's too cold otherwise.
All right, fair enough. So yeah,
Built, built
we're
by
coming
your
to you
money,
split.
Johannes.
Yeah, we're coming to you split from Portugal, South Portugal, where it is I think about 12 degrees now, and Helsinki, Finland. And we're gonna switch around the content a little bit today. We're trying something new out. So we're going to lead with a news segment, right? Taking a look at some of the cloud news that's been around during the past week. Again, if you would have any news items that we have not discussed about, that please send us a message about them. And we're not really interested in listing all of the new features of all of the cloud services that are around. That there are enough services that do that. We don't want to say that now the C7N option is also available in the AWS Madrid region. That doesn't make any sense. That's not interesting for us at all. But while they're kind of larger things, and they're not necessarily always about last week. This is more about me going through headlines from last week and then finding something interesting in them and then kind of introducing them to you. Okay. And Mikko has not been prepared for this at all. So I'm going to get some real reactions from him.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yeah. So my first item is on the screen right now. So Google Next actually starts in exactly 1 month, April 9th, 2024. And there are a couple of things here that are interesting. First of all, Mikko, do you remember when Google Next was last year?
I have no idea. I wasn't there. But
I was there. It
yeah.
was the end of August, beginning of September.
So why has the time changed?
Where was Google Next last year?
Not in Las Vegas.
No, it was in San Francisco, in the Moscone Center, which is well known to me from previous Java conferences. The Java 1 conference was always there. So they moved from San Francisco to Las Vegas, and of course, this is something that I actually kind of blogged about or video logged about when I was there. It's San Francisco really is not a conference-friendly city. You
How is
literally
that?
every morning. Sorry.
How is that? Why?
Yeah. So literally every morning when I would wake up, get from my conference hotel, which is one of the ones where Google got a good rate from, to the Moscone Center, 3 blocks away only, so very walkable, 5 minutes. I literally need to step over homeless people that are still sleeping on the sidewalk. And you have so many, I think maybe substance abusers or others that are, walking down the streets, that it's not really,
Doesn't feel
nice.
safe.
For me, it doesn't feel unsafe, but it's like if I couldn't bring my kids there, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of I feel safe. I know I'm fairly big, so people don't usually target me first. And then I'm also kind of okay in talking my way out of situations, so I'm not afraid per se. But it's not really nice, for a international conference audience.
Yeah, I get that.
Understand that they moved to Vegas, but then the problem becomes, when can you hold the conference, right? Because now, if you want to get how many people does Next get? I think 30,000 ish, something like that. 20, 30,000, over 10. It's a significant amount of people, so you need to have a plan in place. You need to get a conference center that holds enough people. You need to get the hotels involved. And Vegas is a pretty busy city. So big conferences going on there. And now also the Formula One stuff, all of that. But it's not trivial, right? But I guess what happened was that they didn't want to get slotted in with the CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, which is really big, and AWS reInvent
Obviously not.
towards the end of the year. So then they kind of had to go towards the April option, which is actually where the IBM conference used to be as well. So there might be like a kind of an opening in there. So very interesting. Of course, last year, Google Next was only about Gen AI. That's like literally, like every single talk was about Gen AI. So it is interesting to see how they progress from that. There is a session library already available, so if you're interested, then go ahead and take a look. It seems to be a little bit more technical this year, so not everything is about Gen AI, which is fair. They also seem to have trouble selling tickets to this, right? So I had there was a early bird discount of -50%, which ended I think at the end of January. But then I got an email on the 1st of February that actually for you, we're going to continue that early bird discount. Then some of the trainers got actually free tickets to Next 24. And there still are discount codes available for 40% off the ticket. So it seems that they're really having trouble with this. And I understand that, because like between April and September, there are not that many months, right? So it might be difficult for people to justify to their bosses that they need to go to a conference again, where it's not even been a year since they previously were in one. So it's kind of interesting situation. Maybe it didn't go the way they planned it, right? And I think we're not going this year. I still have the discount code. So if I would find really cheap tickets to Vegas, I might consider it, but really,
it's a long flight.
Yeah, and it takes away the whole week of
Yeah.
working, and it's actually fairly exhausting to be in a conference like that. It's like literally you need to recover from that the next week again.
Every morning.
That as well. But yeah, just to let everybody know that it exists. It happens in 1 month, and as normally, the content will be available later online. And this year we probably will be, happy with just that online content. But that brings us then to our first news item. So Google has announced just about Monday this week that the Claude 3 models from Anthropic are going to be available in their Vertex AI system. So what is this? This is Gen AI, right? So Anthropic is a company heavily backed by Amazon that creates these large language models. One of their products is called Claude, and this is version 3 of that product. And they kind of have different models available for different use cases, if you're interested. But this is what was interesting for me, because this is literally an Amazon-backed company, and then Google is saying that, "Hey, we have this model available for you now," right?
So what's the point? Why do they do this kind of cross-platform or cross-vendor thing?
I guess, like, for the general public, GPT-4 or Chat GPT is kind of the golden standard, right, that you would use. And those are available on the different marketplaces as well. So both Google Cloud's Vertex AI and Amazon's Bedrock, and of course Microsoft, have those models available on a per API call basis, or whatever commercials they have, and they're working on a base on kind of a marketplace, right? So model is running somewhere, but you can use the Google or AWS API to connect to it, and then you pay as part of the cloud bill, and then part of that money goes to whoever owns that model, right? So from the marketplace point of view, it makes sense to have an as wide selection of models available, right? Because like, if Google Cloud Vertex AI wouldn't have Claude 3, and then you have a developer who wants to use that model, then they need to go to a different cloud provider.
They need to go somewhere else then. Yeah,
right.
Makes sense.
So you don't want to do that, because you're going to get money from that cloud developer using other ways than just the Gen AI part, right? Hosting their application or whatever. So this was interesting. Okay, so and just to let you know, I'm going to write some blog posts about these individual news items, where you can see all of the links and a little bit more in-depth information about the services. Our next topic is that AWS announces that the Claude 3 models are available on Amazon Bedrock. Okay, so same thing, exactly what we just talked about. Here they're talking about Claude, or this particular news item is about the Sonnet model, but this is one of the 3 models.
And is Bedrock the equivalent of the Vertex AI? It's the same kind of a platform?
No, Google is horrible. So somehow cloud companies are horrible in naming their products. Okay, at least both AWS and Google are. So with AWS, Bedrock is a model service, like a model marketplace, you could say, right? So it's an API using which you can access models by different providers. Google's Vertex AI is everything AI related with Google. So anything. So whether you train your own model or somebody else's model, or you have an endpoint or inference or whatever, it's Vertex AI. So
kind of a larger thing than Bedrock.
Yes, and it's super confusing, because there are many.
No surprises there.
You can think that there are many products within Google's AI offering that are very, very, very different. But they decided in the previous Google Next to just call everything Vertex.
So they are all bundled under Vertex AI,
except for the Duet AI stuff, of course, right?
Makes sense.
But yeah, So we got the same thing on AWS's side. I guess I just wanted to point that out. And it was funny that in my stream, the Google announcement came first, and then the AWS announcement.
Were they announced on the same day?
Same day, yeah.
Okay.
And
That wasn't a
Anthropic,
mistake, I guess.
yeah, and Anthropic, like I said, is heavily financed by Amazon specifically. All right, so next item here. AWS Batch on EKS supports the use of private EKS clusters to run batch jobs. So this actually comes from, the interest into this product comes from a discussion I had on the AWS developer Slack environment, I guess, where you had a person who was doing CI/CD jobs, and kind of wanting to move from using specific, CI/CD pipelines and in AWS, so actually using the what do you call it, code builder jobs, to create something that runs on an ECS cluster, right? But that's what he wanted to do. Instead of having pipelines running everything, and then running something inside a container in code build, he wanted to move that to just ECS containers. And then he was really disappointed with ECS containers that if he creates a task that runs just once, right? So a task in ECS is a task definition that contains one or more containers, but just runs once. He doesn't find any observability about, whether it ran correctly or not, and if it didn't run correctly, what the error logs would be. Whereas with code pipeline and code build, he would get that very nicely instead. So I actually told him to consider using AWS Batch. So what is AWS Batch? Well, it's a product where you can define these kind of jobs that basically are containerized. But then Batch takes care of the orchestration of them, right? So it will basically run an ECS cluster for free in the background, no extra cost for that. And then that ECS cluster can add EC2 nodes whenever you have a job that needs to be run. And then Batch runs that job on that EC2 node, and then it keeps logs regarding whether it was successful or not, and all that stuff, right? So now, when I did this explanation or suggestion of using Batch, basically with no extra cost to get to the whatever the guy wanted, like this kind of observability, I also saw that nowadays Batch can actually use EKS, so Kubernetes clusters as well, not only ECS clusters.
Which is kind of a surprise that EKS was not supported earlier.
Yeah, earlier on, I think with Batch, the whole idea was that, well, normally with ECS, you pay for the cluster, right? So, but if you use it via Batch, the cluster is actually free. You only pay for the actual infrastructure that is being used to run your containers. And with Batch, that gives you the possibility to create all kinds of funny things, where you can make a spot policy, I think that's what it's called, where you want to, for example, get a certain number of CPUs. And then that spot policy will automatically pick the correct instance types that give you that number, and sizes that give you that number of CPUs in the cheapest possible combination, right? And it's something that you can't normally do with, or you could, but it's very difficult with ECS. So this kind of just an automation layer on top of ECS. And with EKS, you have the problem that you have the management layer that is constantly running, and there's a constant charge for running that, which is understandable, right? So and that's why the actual kind of business proposal with EKS is very different from how I understood Batch originally. But the news item is not that it only can use EKS clusters, but you can also now use EKS clusters that are private, right? So this basically means that I think you can even run EKS clusters on outposts and then control them via AWS.
Okay.
So EKS
Why would you do that if you need to keep the data local to your data center?
Yeah.
Or what would be the use case for that?
Yeah, and EKS has also been open sourced. So you can literally run EKS on your own hardware as well.
Yeah. So it's not only about Outpost, but your own data center altogether.
Yeah. And now you can kind of get the extra management layer from that on top of that, which is nice.
So a question, how would this, if you run EKS on your own data center, how would it show towards AWS? How does it show?
Yeah, there is a, I didn't take that slide or that page onto it, but it basically, let's see, there was a picture somewhere.
But you get to manage it from the AWS side, or?
Yeah, so you can use, the idea is that inside EKS, the Kubernetes cluster is pretty standard, right? There's not that many differences. So if you run it on-prem, you basically get the possibility to use EKS Cuddle, which is a command line tool to work with EKS. You can use that to control your own EKS environment. And you can do the management layer via AWS as well, but you don't actually have to. You can also run it locally. So then whenever you would run an EKS command, you would change the endpoint to be in your own local network instead of, eks.yourregion.amazonaws.com. That's supported. So you can have at least simulate locally exactly what a cloud-based EKS cluster would look like. It's very good for that kind of testing purposes as well. Okay, happy?
All right.
Cool.
Sure.
More models. So Gemma is now available on Google Cloud.
Your guess is good as mine.
Who is Gemma?
It reminds me of Spice Girls, but
I think that was Jerry Halliwell, right? It's not the same thing. Yeah. So what is Gemma? Well, Google came out with a new Gemini large language model, I think in February at some point. So basically they said that all of the things that they do, all of the Duet AI and everything, it is from now onwards based on this Gemini large language model. And of course you can use it via Google Vertex AI and whatever other places. But they have also created an open model called Gemma, right? So Gemma basically gives you the same structure that Gemini models have, or a similar structure, but they're not pre-trained on the same data, right? So if you want to use a similar model than Gemini, but not use any of the proprietary Google-based training or structures, then this would be an option. And this, of course, then means that this Gemma model, this is portable. So you can move it from one provider to another provider. Whereas the Gemini model is Google specific, so they probably will not.
That's an interesting topic. The vendor lock-in or the lack of it. It's usually a nice idea, but how often you actually are able to properly utilize that, not sure. But we've seen that in software development many times, that you create a solution that is supposedly transferable to another place, and well, in practice, that could be a really difficult thing to do.
Yeah, and to be honest, Google is very specific about using a lot of open source and open technologies to enable you to basically not get vendor locked in. In my opinion, this is mainly because they are the smallest hyperscaler, so they kind of have to have to say that. Right? So that's kind of the. It shows in a lot of things that they actually do. Okay. Next one, yeah. GKE Autopilot. So this news item is about a specific thing with regards to GKE Autopilot. But I just wanted to use this moment to talk a little bit about GKE Autopilot, which is very, very, very nice service. So what is GKE Autopilot? Well, it's a Kubernetes managed environment where you don't manage the infrastructure at all, right? So in traditional GKE, what you would have is you would have a management layer or orchestration layer where the Kubernetes servers are running, but then you would manage the actual worker nodes, right? So there are automations available, but basically your pods are going to be running on virtual machines, and it's kind of your problem to define the type and size of those virtual machines, and then maybe have some scheduling logic. If some of your machines have a GPU, then any machine learning training pods should preferably go onto those machines and not the other ones. So, right. So with GKE Autopilot, you don't have that anymore. So it's actually Google that manages the infrastructure that the pods are running on. And the cool thing here is that you don't pay per virtual machine. So it's Google's problem.
So what do you pay for then?
You pay it for per pod, and based on what the pod requirements are. So very similar to what Fargate does over on AWS's side. But Fargate's implementation is based on a micro virtual machine, right? So in Fargate, any two pods will always be on different virtual machines, different micro virtual machines. Whereas with GKE Autopilot, Google will create some virtual machines, but instead of you having to pay for the full price of those virtual machines, you only pay for the amount of CPU and memory your pods request.
Would other clients' pods be running on the same virtual machine?
No. It's a normal GKE cluster.
Okay.
It's just that instead of you creating the virtual machines, it's Google creating. And then there are different ways.
If there's excess capacity, then Google kind of pays for that.
Yeah, you don't pay for that.
Yeah.
It's Google's problem to optimize the set of virtual machines that are available for you.
This is the direction as a software developer. I hope that things are moving to, because the management of the infrastructure is a pain, and if instead of concentrating, or somebody needs to concentrate on managing the infrastructure and trying to keep it secure, trying to keep it running, try to have the infrastructure built in such a way that the individual virtual machines, for example, are equal to each other, not just on paper, but in reality. That's just extra work.
Yeah. There are a couple of benefits here,
opinion.
Additional benefits, and one of them is in this article, right? So security. So now, because you're not managing the infrastructure anymore, it's going to be more secure, right? You can't SSH into these instances that are managed by Google. So hence, they're going to be more secure. And another cool thing about this GKE Autopilot is that there actually is a per hour charge for the management layer, the orchestration layer. which is fixed per hour. But in your Google account, you have a credit that is enough for you to run a GKE autopilot for each month for free. So it will cover, the credit will cover one cluster with GKE autopilot automatically. So you literally, if you only have one cluster in your account, you literally only pay for the actual one.
For the time being.
Yeah. Right. It's their price. I understand why they're doing it this way. It's their pricing is sustainable this way, right? They're thinking that they are so good in scheduling pods that they can make it in a better way than we would. And of course, because Kubernetes originally comes from Google, I don't have any reason why I wouldn't believe them. I'm sure that they are so much experience in this stuff. All right, then, and there's a lot of things happening in the AWS training and certifications phase. So I wanted to touch upon that. This is partially because we are trainers ourselves, right? So one thing that is has been continuing for a while is that there's more and more self-paced training options available in Skill Builder. This has been moving from, so it kind of originally, in my opinion, started with kind of deeper knowledge about specific topics that weren't available in any of the instructor-led trainings. So it was kind of a complementary option. Then they moved all of the exam readiness, or what is it, certification readiness courses,
Yes.
over to Skill Builder, away from instructor-led training. So they kind of moved to that part. Then they made part of the content in Skill Builder only available against a subscription.
People are not happy about that.
Yeah, fairly cheap subscription.
At least in the beginning.
It makes it possible for them to include labs, right? So it's difficult to do that for free, and it's, what is it, $29 a month, something like that. It's not the most expensive subscription available, right? So it's okay.
Yeah, considering that you do get the labs with that,
exactly.
then it's, if you're planning to do labs and you're utilizing it properly, then yes, it's definitely not expensive.
Yeah. Then they added Cloud Quest. So Cloud Quest originally was available for the Cloud Practitioner option. So it's kind of a gamified way to go, I think, through the same content than in the normal course. It's just presented in a different way. But now they actually added more options for Cloud Quest. So there are going to be more Cloud Quests available. And they added digital versions of their instructor-led courses to Skill Builder. Not all of them are online yet, but I think they will be at some point. And this is interesting because this is actually now AWS copying what Google did. Right? So with Google, all of the official courses have been available online for free, at least for partners, for quite a while, or from Coursera or EDX. Or I think Coursera and EDX are available for free. You have to pay if you want to get the certificate at the end of the course. And then they were also available on, what do you call it? The plural site as well. The same content, right? And now AWS is going that way as well, that they're also giving access to recorded versions of courses online. This is very interesting. So what I think this is leading to, which is also true with Google training, is that we're going to be able or ATPs are going to be able to provide different settings of courses. So like we've already seen that with the data analytics course. So instead of having kind of a 1-3-day big data on AWS course, we now have actually 4 one-day courses. And then we can pick and choose the correct ones depending on the customer's needs. The same thing is going to happen with other content as well, probably, just my opinion. And then the idea with these digital courses is that they could be the way to teach the things that weren't that important, right? So that people would kind of buy, or companies would buy instructor-led training with the core issues that are maybe common for everybody, and then go over to the digital content or the kind of extra knowledge or the deeper dives that not everybody needs, right? So kind of a blended learning experiment. And exactly the same thing is happening in Google Cloud as well. And this has a fairly dramatic effect, or is going to have a fairly dramatic effect on how instructor-led training will be working. So you can imagine that, Mikko, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a real bomb. A lot of ATPs are not happy with this option. So instead of paying, I don't know.
It's going to be interesting if instead of offering a 3-day course where it's kind of a somebody has really been thinking that, okay, these topics fit together, and now you get, or the client gets to choose 3 or 4 individual courses here and there, then do they really make a proper course together? Or it will be interesting. This will definitely change
Right.
things a little bit.
And the digital classrooms are available here in this individual annual subscription. And like, I don't think I can get into this. And like the problem kind of is that a 3-day course, like architecting on AWS, costs you around, I don't know, 2,500 euros or dollars to go
And
through
it
that
has
course.
so much content in it.
Yeah. And here you can now get all of the courses in a digital version for $300 for a year. That's quite a big difference. But one course, $2,500. All courses, $300. Of course, the reason why you're paying a lot is that you get people like me and Mikko to guide you through the content, right? But still,
Ready to answer questions and so on.
Yeah, big difference. So then, moving onwards to our actual topic of discussion for today. So originally, Google came out with the free data transfer option. So I hope we all understand data transfer costs in the cloud. Generally speaking, data transfer into the cloud is free, but data transfer out of the cloud does cost you. So one of this could be thought of, a vendor lock-in in a way. If you've been accumulating all of your data in the specific cloud provider over time, then if you want to change providers, you need to take into account the data transfer costs of moving all of that data away, right? And because Google is the weakest of the 3 hyperscaler, they first came out with this idea that if you, for whatever reason, wants to move away from Google Cloud, then they will make it possible for you not to have to pay for data transfer in that case. And with Google, it's a manual process. So you need to contact your account manager, or then you can fill out a form, and then they'll let you know. Right? They let you know how they're going to do it. You need to tell them what exactly you're going to move out. It doesn't need to be everything. It can just be kind of part of your business, but you need to enumerate it, and then they basically verify it, and then they give you 2 months time to do the actual transfer. And then they're going to credit back the amount of transfer that or money that you used.
So, for example, if you want to move a couple of petabytes of data, that actually might cost you a little bit.
Yeah.
And this way, you are less likely to not move your data because it will basically be free if you do that.
Yeah, it's a. I guess
An
the point
interesting
here
way. Interesting. I guess the logic behind this is that they show you that you're not stuck with us if you come to us. I guess that's the business kind of thinking behind this.
Exactly. Or like if you're an existing customer of Google Cloud, but you're doubting whether you should stay with Google Cloud or not, then currently you should exit as early as possible, because the less data you have in Google Cloud,
very good point,
the lower that cost is going to be. And now, because this exiting happens for free, you don't have to do it immediately. You can continue still using Google Cloud for the foreseeable future, because you're kind of safe on the data transfer costs.
And depending on your industry, you could really have a lot of data.
Yeah,
like ridiculous amount of data.
Yeah, we do have a ridiculous amount of data as well. But then this week, AWS came out with a similar announcement. So again, we see AWS copying what Google
matching.
is doing.
Yeah. So actually, I wonder if this was again like a coordinated release of feature or information from their.
No. This is a knee-jerk reaction by AWS.
So how long was the delay? It was not on the same day, right?
No. Let's see. Google announces free data exit, right? Something like that. January 14th was Google, and then March 5th was AWS. So 6 weeks.
Okay. Yeah, definitely not coordinated then. So reaction to what Google did, and since AWS reacted like that, it probably means that what Google did is a good thing. Because why would they copy if it was a bad idea?
I guess similarly to us, AWS thought about why did Google do this, and then they got to a conclusion that might be quite similar to ours, and then they calculated what the effect of this actually is, and it's basically nothing. This is.
Or they winning.
Yeah, the cost of not charging for exit data is totally manageable by both Google and AWS. It's a really small thing, but it gives a really strong message. So it made sense.
Probably the cost of the real cost of transferring the data is not the problem, but losing your customer is more of a problem. And yeah, as you said, a strong message that, hey, you can leave if you want to, but we don't think you will.
Exactly.
Kind of.
So just to kind of let people know, if you're new to this, then networking is costly in all of the clouds, right? So we might, you had a kind of a use case in mind of some petabytes of data that you would want to exit. So one of the things that we could do is just take a look at what the charges really look like, right?
Let's say we have accumulated, let's say, some video footage from lots of cameras. Maybe it's a security video footage or something, and we have 10 10 petabytes of data.
10 petabytes.
More than fits on your USB stick.
Yeah.
Most
Okay,
likely.
so here we have the AWS option. So it's actually surprisingly complicated. There is this one slide. Like this is even something that you might not think about. That if you use a highly available architecture, two-tier architecture in this case, we have a database. In a highly available database, only one of the copies is active at the time. But if your application is running in two different availability zones, then one of those availability zones is going to have to cross one of those subnets basically is going to have to access the database across availability zones, and that actually costs you money. The same is true if you use a load balancer that does cross availability zone load balancing. It's a check mark in AWS, but it actually will cost you more when you do that. But yeah, so where are the prices here?
I have another good use case here, but let's look at this.
Let's go through this first, okay? Here is the pricing page. Data transfer. Here we go. So, no, data transfer. There we go. So, which region are we talking about?
I don't know. US is one.
US East 1. It's going to be North Virginia. There we go. So, first 100 gigabytes are going to be for free. First petabyte is going to cost you 9 cents, then 8 cents, and then so on. So let's just go with 5 cents per gigabyte, and the rest of it is a rounding error, right?
Yep.
So with 5 cents per gigabyte.
It's still not that much.
Per gigabyte. And we had, so that's $51.2 per terabyte.
Okay, then it's
$52,428 per petabyte. And we had 10 petabytes, right?
Okay, it starts to cost a little bit.
$500,000. Okay. Let's take a look at the same cost with Google Cloud. So this is premium tier, usually. You could go down to standard tier, but probably you don't want to. This is a Google Cloud specific thing. And most likely this is going to be a premium tier. And then we have internet data transfer fees. And which some US based as well, right? South Carolina and Northern Virginia, we have that as well. So it's physically the same state, okay? So again, where is it going to be transferred to this time? If it's to Northern America, it's going to be 8 cents per gigabyte. Again,
it's a little bit more than
higher rates, they're just rounding errors, they don't really matter. If it's to China, it's going to be 20 cents per gigabyte. So,
but was it 5 cents for AWS and 8 cents for Google? So it's 1.6 times more.
Yeah, so it's like $800,000 for Google if the target is in North America.
Yeah.
If it's
let's keep it simple. Yeah, okay. It's even more if you transfer it outside. But you could you? Does the snowmobile stuff work? AWS stuff work to the out from AWS side as well direction?
No, but the Google has a similar service.
But does it work out from the cloud vendor as well, not only in
Yeah, it works
both.
both ways. Yeah.
Okay.
You want to try?
But I have a similar use case. Let's imagine you have started with in AWS, you have started with US East 1, and you have that 10 petabytes of data. And for some reason, maybe your organization, I'm just making this up as I go, relocates to California. And you actually need the data to be there as well. Or you just want to move to California and you want to use a region over there. And currently, it does cost you to move your data between regions, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just paying for that transfer, you probably could talk with AWS and ask, what if we just relocate to another region and you cover the costs?
Yeah. So if you're talking about like S3 regional replication charges.
Yeah, it depends. Probably if you have petabytes of data, it comes from S3.
Right. So you pay for all bandwidth in and out of S3 except for the following. Same region, same region, same region. Yeah. Here they don't make a difference. Here it is. You see it. Data transfer out from S3 to a different region is just going to be 2 cents per gigabyte.
Okay, but still it would be
It's
for
not
10.
egress to the, it's not egress to the internet. It's just cross region. It's cheaper.
Yeah. But it would still cost you $200,000 to move that 10 petabytes of data.
Yeah, and same thing we have here. This is kind of.
So you could probably talk with AWS and say, hey, look, we're just relocating to another region instead of relocating to Google. Can you cover the costs?
Yeah. Another thing here is the cross-region replication. I think this might actually. You also pay. Yeah, it says here you also pay for inter-region data transfer out. Yeah. This is something that you would probably handle with your account manager.
Yeah.
And just kind of a point here. Okay, most people, I guess, understand this, that this will cost between the different regions or the internet and the cloud provider. But just kind of note that there are also other situations which occur networking costs. And of course, if you're doing cross-regional stuff, then that is imminent. The price, as long as it goes over the AWS network, never egress into the internet, is going to be cheaper. Same thing for Google or Azure. And then just remember that also cross availability zone traffic costs you. And if you're sending a lot of traffic, then this might be a significant cost factor that often doesn't get planned in because people don't understand this kind of a situation.
You're saving money by having only one NAT gateway, and then you're using it across availability zones, for example.
Right, because the NAT gateway charges per hour, but the traffic charges per gigabyte. So you need to know which one is basically the bigger cost factor. Another kind of favorite thing of mine is that people are very creative when trying to find the cheapest compute cost available, like the spot costs. And there's this whole theory that the spot costs are actually best at a certain time of day. So that basically, if you want to optimize for cost, your compute should kind of go around the world as the sun does.
Oh yeah, circle around the world.
Yeah, where the cheapest thing is. But that only works if you don't have your source data, right? Because any thing that you might save with spot instances and compute cost, you then pay back by having to access your data from a different region.
Yeah, that there's a balance if you require a large amount of data, but it could be that you're running some
Okay.
algorithm that just takes a few megabytes of data
Calculates
in.
pi.
Then
Calculates pi. This was actually the use case. Somebody calculated pi, a Japanese university. And then the data is minimal. So it's quite easy to just go with the compute. But very often with like machine learning stuff, any part where you save money by choosing the compute location, you actually lose when doing the data transfer. And that also takes time to transfer the data. There are some outliers, like for example, Sao Paulo, the Brazil region, where everything is like 50% more expensive than anywhere else.
And why is that?
And I think there's some kind of tax.
Tax, yeah.
There was like a kind of online services tax that adds to the cost. Otherwise,
And then you have to find a balance between latency and the cost of running the show locally.
Yeah, maybe not store anything or run anything there. Just have a strong caching layer. Instead, that might be best for commercial reasons. But yeah, we actually used a fairly nice amount of time for the topic. It starts to be 1 hour. I thought that the news would be quicker and that this would take longer, but I think we didn't leave anything on the table here.
Yeah, we have some nice, or actually AWS has some nice use cases ready for how much it costs. Not how much, but what are the typical data transfer use cases between, for example, regions and availability zones. Maybe we will cover that in some later episode.
Yeah, could do that. Yeah, if there is interest. Yeah. You have any further comments, or should we call it a day?
I think we can call it a day. My kids are they're very quiet at the moment, so I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm running this episode. I'm doing this from home now.
Yeah,
lots of kids are ill.
Yeah, let you check on the kids. I have my birthday party run coming up as well.
Fun evening.
Yes.
But good luck with that.
Thanks a lot, Mikko, for commenting on my babblings again. Thanks for anybody who's been listening. Please tell us what you would like to hear about, and we will try to figure out the proper content for that. And we'll most likely continue doing this kind of short news in the beginning of our episodes. Maybe not as long as this one, but we'll find that.
At least pick one or two of the biggest things or most interesting things that has happened in the previous week.
Yeah, and if any viewer has any interesting news or topics, then please let us know. We're happy to take them under our kind of investigation, right? Or discussion, at least. But thanks for this. Thanks for everybody for listening, and see you again next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.